What's the topic today?
That's up to you.
We already discussed it.
So why are you asking?
I sent you an official email with our next podcast topic.
After that, you sacked me.
I'm going to fire you. I'll fire you again.
You fired me after that.
Exactly.
So,
it's the pressure in Australia.
You've rehired me.
I needed you on the podcast again, so I couldn't do it without you. This is the Yo Freeman podcast with Mana Freeman. This is the Yo Freeman podcast with Mana Freeman. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. So we decided to come back again with something new and something spicy this time around. And I'm happy to have you back on again. I think that the last episode that I had with you, you took all the plunders and all the funds.
Really?
People wanted to have you on.
I'm honored that they want to hear from me.
So you see why I didn't want to fire you again and I brought you back
But
to the
you
podcast.
still did.
Obviously. That's just by the
Can
way.
you imagine he fired his wife from the podcast? Anyway, let's let.
Do you want to tell them what you did?
It's fine. Let's move on. What's the topic?
There's no topic. Interestingly, I've been thinking about this thing. I mean, how people don't like to talk about some stuff in a relationship, like your partner having, a friend of the opposite gender.
Oh, okay.
I think we've had this discussion sometime before, and it's a popular topic. It's something that people don't really talk about it, but it's really popular. If your partner has, a friend of the opposite gender, what really is the reaction? Like for someone like me, I don't really think it's a big deal until it becomes a big deal. There's always that point where, it starts becoming a big deal.
Okay.
The late night texts, the hidden messages, and, it's not really a big deal until you see them take a picture with, his hands on her waist or her hand on his, shoulders or whatever.
Yeah.
With you, like, what do you really think about it? When does it become a big deal? Is it really a big deal that your partner has
This is a very controversial question, honestly. Like a very controversial topic, generally, right?
How is it controversial?
It is controversial in the sense that there's probably, a good number of people on other sides of the fence, right? So whatever your take is, or my take is, there's going to be people on the other side of the fence.
Which I agree. But it's not really
that's
about
what
your
makes
feelings.
it controversial. That's, in my opinion, what makes it controversial. The fact that you can never really get it right, at least for a good number of reasons. People are going to be on the other side. But for me personally, I'm not happy with my man being friends with a lady. Like, that's just me. And listen, you can crucify me, but that's just me. I'm not happy with it because why are you friends with her? What are you talking about?
To be honest, I think I like that take. I like that you are being honest because
that's just me being honest.
People trying to be on the other fence, trying to be politically correct, that you have to give your partner that freedom to make some decisions. And you do all of that until you wake up one day and you start crying and spending 5 hours in the shower with a broken heart. That's what I meant by it's not a big deal until it starts becoming a big deal.
That's my point, though. Not really, but it is around my point in the sense of why are you friends with this person? So outside of her, can't you be friends with any other man? Like, and the boys you want to be friends with? Why are you friends? Do you understand? Like, what do you even talk about?
Because they are my friends.
I understand. And as you said, there are levels of friendships, right? There are levels of friendships. There's, we're just cordial in the sense of, we acquaintances. We are in work together. We are in school together. Whatever, right? You're cordial. Hello, hi. How are you doing? How was lunch? Absolutely. Obviously, you can have friends, but like, why are you talking about deep stuff with a girl? When I say deep stuff, like, oh, work is stressing me out, blah blah blah. Why can't you talk to me
You
about
mean
it?
the emotional stuff?
Yeah,
And
like things that
they
are
start being
actually,
emotionally dependent on
yes,
you or
on
you.
the other person. Like the reality is, and this is not a reflection on the fact that I don't trust like the man or the man, or in my opinion, I don't trust the man or the man doesn't trust me or whatever. That is not necessarily it. It's more like I don't understand why you can talk to a woman, what you can talk to a woman about
My dear,
that you can't talk to me
there are so
about.
many things in this world that you will never understand. For instance, I never really understand logarithms and indices. I don't think I will ever
I
understand
understand
it.
it. I'll teach you.
Okay.
But that's my point. Yeah. What can you talk to a woman friend? Yeah, that you can't talk to me about. Like what conversation, what kind of fun can you have that you cannot talk to me about? That's sort of me, my take on that,
Now that I'm
right?
thinking about it, I don't know.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, what is it? What kind of connection can you build with that woman that you and you? I know social media people are gonna go like, oh, she's a jealous one or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not insecure or anything. I just, if you can make it make sense to
I
me.
think the Bible says somewhere that God is a jealous God and we are
Oh well.
basically created after Him. So there is nothing wrong with you
Anyway,
being jealous.
justification. But for me, yeah, if you can actually make it make sense to me, then sure, I am happy with you being friends with, another like a person of the other gender. But as it stands now, there is nothing I can think of that will make sense to me. Does that make sense? I think I hope
So
I'm
you don't
coming
even
across
have
right.
any age range?
No, not really.
If I was 35 and I had a female friend who
That's
was 20 or
that's
21,
even worse.
how's that worse?
No, that's even terrible. No way. But there is an exception to this year. People you sort of grew up with,
Okay.
right? People you sort of grew up with. I do get a so say even family friends since even before you met me,
Yeah.
right? They are your friends before you even met me, and like I don't see how it's fair to just say just because they're a lady friend
Yep.
you should not be friends with them.
But that comes another point. For instance, we moved from Ghana to Australia.
Yeah.
And I basically don't have any of my family friends here. You also don't have any of your family
Yeah.
friends here. So at what point, do you give your partner that, that leverage, that room that, hey, you can be friends with female friends, just there should be this kind of boundaries, and what are those boundaries? To what extent can they go?
Yeah.
And for someone like me who's been friends with a lot of females, and I tend to understand the dynamics, you
Yeah.
are friends with them for a couple of years, and I don't know, there is always that thing where they start being emotionally dependent on you. I wouldn't say they are wanting a relationship with you or anything like that, but asking live questions, and I know you are gonna bring up the question, where is their boyfriend, or why are they not getting a boyfriend? But there is always that thing that I for once don't really understand. But
Yeah.
yeah, I also believe that it has to do with your partner trusting you
Yeah.
that, yeah, I know you this much and I know you care for people just as you care for me, and you are not going to go to the extent of, making it a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I guess for me, I might be projecting a bit in the sense that from as young as I can remember,
Oh.
any male friend that I've had has ended up telling me they liked me or they wanted to be with
To
me.
be honest, I was going to give you that
So
statistics.
honestly, for me,
And
for me, it's just I want to believe in that platonic friendship. I
Yep.
do, but from my personal experience, every time I've been friends with someone, and I'm a very nice person in the sense of I smile a lot, I'm chatty and all of that.
Yeah.
So maybe I gave off the impression that I was interested in them or whatever. But in my in from where I was sitting, I just wanted to be friends with them, but it always ended up being like, oh, I like you, can we date or whatever? And that's not bad per se. I'm just saying that it's maybe tainted my understanding of friendship, opposite friendship a bit. And yeah, maybe I could do a bit more work.
Well, I wouldn't say you're wrong.
Flexible
Coming from a man's perspective, and I speak for all men, white, black, brown, Indian, Fijian, whatever men. I speak for them that, if you take such relationships, such friendships, about 89%, and this is just my data, you can't find it anywhere. About 80.
So you just cooked it up?
No, I didn't cook it. That's what I mean by
it's my your data, so you cooked it.
I collected the data, I just don't want to share it. I just don't want to share 80%, okay, 80, no.
So the data is also not, it's dependent on stuff.
I actually got this data from my granddad.
Hey.
I know you wouldn't believe me. Well, I'm actually making it up.
I know.
That guy was so busy that he was just marrying women and having...
Right.
Yeah, he had 21 children. So yeah, it's not from my granddad. It's but away from that, I think majority of men who are friends with, ladies and women, at a point in time liked them, and it didn't work out as a relationship, so they had to find a space to fit themselves as, hoping that there will be that opportunity someday for them to launch on. I
mean, again,
and I'm part of the 11%, so 89%. I'm part of the 11%. Me, my brothers, and whoever who wants to join.
Anyway,
stay with us. The conversation will continue shortly. Stay with us. The conversation will continue shortly.
This is a very sinister way to think. And I know, I am aware of it, but that's the thing. As I was saying earlier, that has been my experience, right? And this is no reflection of the fact that I don't trust Aaron. I completely trust this man, but it's more like, why? Explain it to me. Let me understand it. And he has female friends.
How long have you been looking for answers? Because you keep asking why.
I'll just ask. And he explains it to me. There is a particular female friend that she's a very little girl.
I've got a lot of female friends.
I know, but there is a particular one that she's always texting. She's very, very little girl vibes, right? And I know her. We hang out sometimes. I would say she's Aaron's friend, and I get it. Aaron has a little sister back home that we, because we've traveled, we've not been able to, we're not. And Aaron was very close with her sister, playing around anytime she came to the they were very close. Yeah. So I get that relationship. I understand it. It makes sense to me. But if you just, met a random girl, it's just not.
I think we are trying to make the conversation one-sided, and we are hating too much on the men. Do women make male friends?
I don't.
Yeah, I know. You don't even make female friends.
Yes. I don't make female friends.
You don't make female friends, so how do you make male friends?
But especially male friends, yeah? For me, again, my experience has been that they always end up saying, I want you, or I want to be with you, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's just not worth my energy. And especially because I'm married, what do you want to be friends with me for? For what reason, I'll just ask you, why do you want to be friends with me? And I someone will say, oh, you're missing out on good friendship. I have amazing friends. I have great friends. And
I think those are just excuses that people just make when they want to mess up around. Now, to be honest, because I was speaking to my friend the other day. He was trying to solicit an advice for his relationship. And obviously, he's got a lot of female friends that his partner isn't really happy about. And the hard part of the whole problem is he doesn't know how to do away with the female friends. And see, it's either you prioritize your relationship over them, or you find a middle ground. And he obviously wasn't looking to find a middle ground. He wasn't looking to do away with his relationship.
Yes.
And he wasn't willing to do away with the female friends too. But he was coming from a position of not really understanding the kind of distress that his partner
Was going
might
through, yeah.
maybe going through. And that's what I find with a lot of people. Like I always tell you, not everything is black or white. There is always the gray area, and people are not stupid. Once you come clean, you explain to them, you let them really understand, the intricacies, everything that has to do with your relationship with the person. If they are really, people who understand, they are eventually going to come around. And that's what I think.
100%, 100%. And this is sort of, brought to mind the fact that every situation is going to be different. There are like a million scenarios you can think of in terms of like opposite sex being friends.
Yep.
The context is going to be different, right? Like at one of my former jobs, there was, two workers. They had been with a company forever, a man and a woman. So they used to call them work husband and work wife.
Wallahi,
it was very respectful.
Wallahi, I'll fight someone.
It was respectful. Like you could see that they have immense respect for each other, but they've worked together for so long. Everybody sort of,
and they share food.
No, they don't share. That's what I mean by it was respectful.
Oh, okay.
It was respectful, but they used to say work wife, work husband. You can see that they have immense respect for each other. They are professional, but they also do have a long history together because they've worked together for like 15, 20 years.
But that's a lot of years.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I mean. The context for these friendships can be so like variant in nature. At the end of the day, I think you should learn to, either, as you said, come to a common ground with your partner on if there is any friction about any friend, right? Come to a common ground with a partner, or learn to prioritize your relationship over whatever, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's about how much you value the relationship that you are in.
Yeah.
Because if my husband is telling me that, oh, there's this guy I feel very threatened by, I have a problem with, blah, 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 obviously, like it makes sense for me to say, okay, cool. Because otherwise, who is this person? What does it mean like to me? Especially if I've explained and it doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Do you get it? What's the point of this guy? Like, does that make sense? I need to know which one to prioritize. So these it's very variant.
Yeah, I understand.
Very extensive.
This is one thing that I always think about. Not always. I think it's just recently that I started thinking about it.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake at your workplace or your job, even if the mistake is the slightest of the mistakes you've ever made, you tend to apologize, explain for your bosses or your supervisors to understand whatever that is going on. You squash it.
Yeah.
The problem is no longer there again. We've been together for close to 8 years or whatever. Yeah. It's more than any job that I've done. Obviously, I've not stayed at any job for more than 3 years. Yeah. So it's a massive investment.
Yeah.
And I would, on any day, it's not even up for an argument, lose any job than to lose my relationship.
Yeah.
Easy.
It makes sense.
So if there is someone coming in between the two of you and your partner is basically not happy about it, just let it be. Yeah. I mean, it's not a bill. You guys are not discussing $1 billion, business investment or whatever. People go like, nah, I can't do that. If once I do that, it means my partner is being whatever. Just let it go.
Yeah.
If that person that your partner feels threatened by isn't there, you are still going to live life. You are still going to be okay.
Yeah.
So for me, if I explain, try to bring the person closer, make the introduction, and it's still not working, you just let it be.
Yeah. I guess, as you've mentioned, context is important. These things seem very black and white right now, but that's why I said there are so many variations of, context is key because, you may not see a threat from your end. You may not see it as an issue. And genuinely, the friendship that you are in may not be like, there may be no chemistry, like no intent to be evil, nothing. Genuinely, within yourself, right?
That's where the problem comes. You never really know where the problem or the evil is creeping in. They may start as just friends, genuine friends who just wants to talk, help each other. You never really know. Like they keep saying, is it attention breeds affection?
Yeah.
So that thin line, that's why I have the problem. Stay with us. The conversation will continue shortly. Stay with us. The conversation will continue shortly.
Yeah.
Nice episode. I think we are sponsored by... Nah, we don't have any sponsors yet.
Yes.
But eventually we are going to get there. We are going to run out on the episodes. That is crazy. Yeah, so when do you make those exceptions?
Yes, so as I was saying, my assumptions, it's primarily on the people you've met and like sort of done life with before you met your partner, right? And this is my justification.
I've not even lived
for
3
it.
decades, so but
Like say you've been friends with someone since uni or say high school or JHS or primary, and you've been literally consistent friends, still talking about you know each other's lives in and out till you met your partner, right? Male or female. If you had the intention of marrying or dating or being with this person, you've seen them, being there with them, right? And again, this also falls on you, the man or woman who is in a relationship. Say for instance, you're a woman, you are waiting for this person that you grew up with to propose to you.
Yep.
And the person didn't propose, and eventually you moved on. This is another scenario. That's why I said there's so many different contexts. And you moved on, Abby. Now you've met your husband. Why would you keep such a man alive? Why would you keep connected to that man?
Well, I don't really know why people do that.
You see my point. So it also could be that you guys literally played from childhood, but it was nothing romantic. You know, nothing romantic. I still don't believe that, but anyway, let's assume there was no romance, no connection, no vibes. You've grown. He's probably married. You're probably married. Why not keep the friendship? You've been friends forever. I don't see a problem with that personally, right?
I think another point where it becomes sort of very difficult is when it's one-sided. Assuming I had a female friend and I assumed the friendship was just genuine, you know, one of those things. And it's when the other person starts developing feelings, that's when it becomes very hard.
Well, then it falls on you. The partner.
That makes sense.
Immediately.
That's what I mean by it becomes really hard.
Well, that's not my problem. If you notice that your female friend has become emotionally involved or is becoming, the onus fall on you to do the needful. It's not it's not complicated to me. If I had a male friend and I see that this male friend is developing feelings, hey, I'll run. Because
for me, it wouldn't even take 2 hours for me to write a very long letter to you.
Yes, Errol, you probably tell me about it.
Write a very detailed letter with diagrams how
they like you and
how they like you and how I know because I'm a man, and if you don't stop this.
So you see, and it's not even like, for me, it just makes sense. Yes, you are friends, it was genuine, but now it's no longer becoming genuine. Like, come on, just run away from it, you know? Otherwise, you need to guard your heart. Otherwise, and again, you may think, oh, you're the most faithful. Every faithful person or every person who's cheated at one point believed they can never cheat.
Oh, even if they cheated tomorrow, it means they were faithful today.
Today, exactly. Any person who is cheated at some point believed they were the most faithful person ever, that they could never cheat.
It's a very slippery ground.
You need to not put yourself in that position to even cheat.
Right? But that's what people go like, one thing led to another. I didn't really know how happened.
Yes.
One thing led to another.
How did the one lead to the two? And the two led to the three? Yes. So, you had to have gone to see him, like gone in his or her car, you know, met up at the restaurant or at work, you were flirting a bit, you know. You had to have done all that to get to the point where one thing led to another. I'm
still going to play the devil's advocate here. I think I still see that thin thread that if you're not careful, you can't really differentiate. Because a female friend calling me that she probably went to work and had a very hard day and somebody was rude or something. How do you differentiate that now, at this moment, this person is just trying to be very emotionally dependent on me? Or I don't know if you get what I'm trying to explain. That is very hard.
That is a thing though. So say this girl has no one, they are not dating. They are also introverted, so they don't really have many friends.
Yep.
And you're good friends with this girl, and this girl trusts you and whatnot. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing all of this is crap. Like, that should not even be happening in the first place. Like, I don't even know.
But to be honest, I think I sort of agree with you too. I mean, why can't you find a boyfriend?
No, that one is another topic.
No, you should find a boyfriend.
No, what if they don't want a boyfriend?
Oh, so that comes the point. You are using somebody's boyfriend. You don't want to assume the responsibility of having a boyfriend, but you want the rights and privileges. That is not fair.
Yes, but for me, friendships are good. I get it. But that's also the whole point of friendship, right? Someone you can talk to.
Yep.
Someone you can, that's the whole point of friendships.
Yep.
Marriage and relationships are literally friendships with sex attached, honestly. And more solid future plans attached.
Yeah.
That's what a relationship and marriage is, as opposed to a friendship.
A friendship, yeah.
So someone you're sharing your life with, your happiness, your woes, with. But in marriage, you two are doing the doing. And you're also planning. What's funny?
Yeah, so
you're also planning for your future, literally building your life together. That's the differentiator. So as you said, where does that line become a red line?
Yeah, a red line.
Where does that line become a red line?
That is really difficult.
And I think that honestly would depend on you as the partner. If you even sense or feel like, this feels irky, immediately, you need to know that no, there is a line that is being crossed.
Yeah, so I think whatever that we are saying basically goes back to what we started with. It still falls back on the person being smart, being alert, and knowing where the friendship or the kind of relationship that you have with the person is moving to.
100%.
And if you have to hit the stop button to save your relationship, you
put
just
a stop
hit
to it immediately. We hope to see you again. Ciao.
Ciao.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. To support our project, like, subscribe, and leave comments on all our conversations. Until we see you again, this is the Yo Freeman Podcast.